Grandstand Bettors here with 32 NFL season previews in 32 days. We break down each team by recapping last year, looking at all their moves they had in the offseason. We give you a breakdown of the schedule and tell you if you should be betting over or under on their season win total for the 2021 NFL season. We also are giving away $1,000, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button if you're excited for the NFL season to start. And without further ado, let's dive into the Tennessee Titans. And to do so, we need to look back on their 2020 campaign. So last season, the Tennessee Titans finished with an 11-5 record, which won them the AFC South Divisional Championship for the first time since 2008. The Titans' preseason over-under last year was 8.5, which they covered in Week 14 after they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road with a 31-10 victory. They were almost perfect in the divisional series. They only dropped a game to the Indianapolis Colts. They ended up 3-3 against AFC opponents and 3-1 against the NFC North last year. Despite a Week 8 loss to the Bengals, all their losses were actually against teams that made the playoffs with 11 or more wins. These were also teams that shredded them in the secondary. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, which is where they did a lot of their work this offseason to make themselves a Super Bowl contender. The Titans ranked third in offense last year, averaging 396 yards a game and putting up an average of 30.7 points in those games. Just unreal stats. Tannehill is a solid QB with several wideouts that he can use to spread the field and will make you pay with that deep ball. The Titans' run game can basically be summed up in 2 words: Derrick Henry. This guy is a monster and is a big reason why the Titans' pass game has done so well over the past couple seasons. It's very hard to defend against a two-pronged attack like this, but the teams that have done the best against the Titans seem to have a good run defense. Keeping Derrick Henry in check allows the secondary to play a little back and keep those Titans wideouts in front of them. As we mentioned earlier, where the Titans struggled last season was on the defensive side of the ball. They gave up 398 yards per game, ranked 27th in passing yards allowed, and 19th in rushing yards allowed. Even with a mediocre defense, the Titans could very well have only lost 2 games last season and could have made it past the first round of the playoffs. Presumably, this is where John Robinson and Mike Vrabel did most of their work in the offseason. To help their run defense, the Titans signed Bud Dupree from the Steelers and Trayvon Cooley from the New York Jets, as well as several inside linebackers. The biggest part of their defense that needed help, though, was obviously the secondary, and a large portion of their free agent signings this offseason were to cornerbacks and to safeties. Picking up Janoris Jenkins from the Saints, we think will prove to be very beneficial to their young secondary. It will give them the veteran help that they need and a strong presence in the locker room with his experience, especially in the postseason. The Titans also targeted cornerbacks and defensive players in the draft. With their first pick, they selected Caleb Farley, a cornerback out of Virginia Tech, which we think was a steal, as he could have probably gone in the top 10 there. As they proceeded to select another cornerback in the 3rd round, 2 linebackers, and a safety with 5 of their 8 picks, their revamped secondary and rush defense, the Titans will be a game most teams do not want to play on their schedule. Talking about their offense, but before we do, just a reminder, if you're looking for more bets, head on over to grandstandbettors.com and become part of our family. We have a great website over there. We give out free picks, free predictions, and at the very least, while you're over there, sign up for our free $1,000 NFL betting contest. That's right, the link is below in the description. We also have a $100 referral bonus to the person who refers the most people to our contest. But hey, let's get back to the Tennessee Titans and their explosive offense. In addition to their offseason defensive moves, the Titans also upped their already great offense by adding Julio Jones from the Falcons and Josh Reynolds from the Rams to account for the unfortunate loss of Corey Davis. To all the secondaries in the NFL who now have to guard Julio Jones and A.J. Brown in the same game, good luck with that. This is a team that has averaged 30 points per game last season, and they added an all-pro wideout to their roster, as well as several offensive linemen to help give Tannehill more time to find A.J. Brown and now Julio Jones down the field. This season, the Titans have the 13th hardest schedule in the NFL based on the win percentage from the teams last year. They could very well go 6-0 against their opponents in the AFC South, with a road win at Indy probably being their hardest one of those games. For the other AFC opponents they play, the Chiefs and Bills, both of which are at home and will be fun games to watch, and the Steelers, and the rest of the AFC East. Besides the Bills, the Titans should have no problem getting 3 wins in the AFC East. Kansas City and Pittsburgh will both be very good games. Most likely they're going to drop one of those games to an opponent. They have also the NFC West on their schedule, which should be great games out west as well. Seattle, Arizona, San Francisco, those should all be shootout games. But their offense is much better overall than the 49ers and the Cards, so we'd like them to probably win both those games. Winning in Seattle, it's going to be tough, and we already chalked their trip to LA up as a loss, so we think they're probably going to end up 2-2 against the NFC West. For their extra game this season, that's right, the extra game. You get an extra game this season. The Titans take on the Saints at home, which they probably should have no problem winning this game, as New Orleans has a little bit of a quarterback situation and a cornerback situation. So we like the Titans here. Vegas over-under for the Titans is at 9.5 for this season. Just like last year, we're going to probably take the Titans over here just by a few games. We think they could get up as high as 12 wins. That's your Tennessee Titans preview from GrandstandBettors.com. Make sure you head on over, become part of our family, and as always, sit back, relax, enjoy the start of the preseason in the NFL, and we'll see you tomorrow.